Shavua Tov, a good Woch, and welcome to our program. Shabbos morning, we're at the Parsha of Vayetze, and Shabbos to Mincha, we started the Parsha of Vayishlach. These Parshas of Vayetze and Vayishlach, like the Parshas before of Chaisoro and Tildes, all deal in Shlichus. In Parshas Chaisoro we find that Avram sent Eliezer on a shlichus. And Eliezer was a shliach, although the word shlichus is not mentioned. In Parshas Tildes, Yitzchak is sending Yankiv as a shlichus, and there the word shlichus is mentioned, Vayishlach Yitzchak as Yankiv. In our Parsha in Vayetze, Yankov Avinu actually does the shlichus. And in Parshas Vayishlach, not only does Yankov Avinu do the shlichus, Vayishlach Yankiv appoints shluchim in the spirit of shaliach, eis shliach. So all of these parshas are dealing with shlichus. It is interesting, Rabbi say, that the Rebbe draws a comparison between the shlichus of Yankov Avinu and the Rebbe's personal shlichus to France. And in the Sikha of Pashas Vayeshev Tavshin Nun Beis, it wasn't Vayetze, it was Vayeshev, Pashas Vayeshev Tavshin Nun Beis, the Rebbe speaks extensively about the similarities between the shlichus of Yitzchak Avinu, and the Rebbe looks at Yitzchak Avinu. Not only is it Yitzchak Avinu, it's only Yitzchak of our generation, the previous Rebbe. And who is he sending? He's sending Yankiv. Yankiv is the general name for the Jewish people. So it's the previous Rebbe sending the Rebbe who is representing the Jewish people. We will return to that in a moment. But first, our customary story. And the story has a little bit to do also with Rosh Chodesh Kislev that we have just celebrated. It's a story in Eretz Yisrael, and the daughter had a problem with her eyes. Her seeing was limited, and the doctors said that there's only one way out, they think, and that is an operation. And even then, they don't promise, but an operation may help. But before they did the operation, they asked the Rebbe. The Rebbe didn't agree on the operation. The Rebbe gave a bracha, everything should be fine. And the Rebbe said they should check the wine of Kiddush. Wine of Kiddush. The father makes Kiddush. But they checked, and they found out that he makes Kiddush Friday night, but he doesn't use wine. He uses grape juice. Well, of course, kosher grape juice, with a hechsher. However, the Rebbe said that they should make Kiddush, they should check the wine. And from then on, instead of making Kiddush on grape juice, the father made Kiddush on wine, and within a short period of time, the daughter's eyes she was able to see as normally, and she did not need an operation. Where is the connection, as we said before, to the Chodesh Kislev? On Shmini Atzeres, when the incident happened in Shul, after that the Rebbe went into the Sukkah. Believe it or not, in this condition, the Rebbe went into the Sukkah. Shmini Atzeres, Sidim eaten Sukkah. And the Rebbe was going to make Kiddush. Somebody suggested that the Rebbe should make Kiddush on grape juice. In that condition, grape juice is much easier. And of course, halachically, there would be no question in that condition of the Rebbe of Pekuach Nefesh, there would be no question whether the Rebbe was allowed to make Kiddush on grape juice. But the Rebbe said very strongly, Kiddush macht man auf Wein, nicht auf grape juice. Kiddush you make on wine, not on grape juice. We see the story here with this individual child. Rabbi say, concerning what we said before, the Rebbe speaks extensively, and we're going to get to it in a moment, about the similarities between the shlichus in our parsha of Yankov Avinu, Vayishlach Yitzchak es Yankiv, and the shlichus that's supposed to get the end of Tildes by Shvi, before Shvi, and this parsha is actually when Yankov Avinu did the shlichus, performed the shlichus, the parsha of Vayetze. Before that, I'm reminded, when I was a child, it was in the city of Montreal, and the women in Montreal had a minhag. In the winter, they would make it was then called an Einik Shabbos, where the women would get together every Friday night in a different house, and they would sit together and they would hear Adval Teile on the Parsha from a guest speaker, whoever that was. And it so happened that my mother, Allah Shalom, got to do the Parsha of Vayetze. This is where they asked her. The schedule came out that way. Nobody, of course, knew why Vayetze, not a different Parsha, but that was the Ashgacha Protis. And the speaker was my father. My father generally did not speak publicly. But here my mother made a very, very nice table. I remember the women said a royal table. And I was at the side. I believe the year was 1955, if I'm not mistaken. And my father, Olav Shalom, as known, he didn't do public speaking, but he made an exception, and he took a chumash, and he went over the parsha of the week. And I remember a few things. I was standing on the side, listening to what my father is going to say, and I remember a few things. One of the things I remember, my father said that they have asked, Yankov Avinu asked the shepherds, Hayidaitem es Lovon ben Nochel. Do you know Lovon ben Nochel? Vayemelu, and they said, Yodoinu, we know him. And my father said that the question is, do you know Lovon ben Nochel? This is a yes or no question. They should have answered, Cain, yes, which is only 2 letters. They answered, Yodoinu. It's a longer letter. It's a longer word. And arguably, there was no need to use a longer word. They should have said, Cain. And my father answered that they wanted to say not only that we know him, and then that would be sufficient if they would say Cain. That means we know him. They said, Yodoinu, we know him, this Chevelman. We know who he is. That's what they wanted to say. Then then Lovon, when Yankov Avinu spoke to him, why did you fool me? And I worked for Rochel, why did you send me Leo? So Lovon said to him, at the beginning, when Yankov Avinu said to Lovon, that I will serve you, I'll work for you for 7 years. For Rochel, your younger daughter, as he says, Rochel bitcho aktano, he made sure that he shouldn't fool him, but it didn't help. Vayemed Lovon, and Lovon said immediately, what did Lovon say? Tev titi oisoloch, mititi oisol ish acher. It's better I should give it to her than to give it to someone else. That's a proste pshat. And my father said that there was already a hint. Lovon already said like this, Titi b'mispar koton, tof yud. B'mispar koton is 9. The tof b'mispar koton, the dalet is 4, and the mem is 4, and the tof is 4. It's the first letter. So the tof stands for 4, the second tof stands for another 4. That's 8, and the yud stands for 1. So Titi b'mispar koton is 9. Leo, b'mispar koton, is 9. The lamed is 3, the aleph is 1, is 4, and then the hey is 5, is 9. Now, mititi, b'mispar koton is 13. The mem is 4, The first tov is another 4 is 8. The second tov is another 4 is 12. And then the Yud is 1 is 13. The Ochel b'mispar koton is 13. The Reish is 2. The Ches is 8 is 10. And then the Lamed is 3. So from the very beginning, Lavan said to him, Tev Titi, Titi, which is Leo, Esoloch, that I'm going to give you. Mi Titi, which is Rochel, Esolish, her I'm going to give to someone else. So from the very beginning, Lavan already alluded to the fact that it's not going to work exactly the way you want. This is what I remember, part of what my father said on Parshas Vayetze in Montreal. I believe the year was 1955. We lived at 52 Esplanade, and my mother, Aleh Shalom, made a Neinik Shabbos, and I remember hearing that this was the Neinik Shabbos that everyone came to, and this is what my father said. Thank you for listening. Concerning, I put it in the book, Rabbi Paris, in detail, that the Rebbe spoke about his own shlichus to Paris and the parallel of that shlichus to the shlichus of Yankov Avinu. And it was, as mentioned, on Parshas Vayeshev, Tovshin Nun Beis. So first, the Rebbe went to Paris in 1933. Did the Rebbe go to Paris because he wanted to go to Paris? It's simple. Although some say he wanted to go to Paris because of studies, the Rebbe went to Paris. This was a shlichus of the previous Rebbe. The previous Rebbe sent the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin on shlichus to Paris. And the Rebbe draws the parallel, as mentioned before. Vayishlach Yitzchok es Yankiv. Yitzchok is the previous Rebbe. And he's sending shluchim. Now, the parallel continues in more than one way. Yankov Avinu was sent to Choron. What does Choron mean? Chalein af shalelum, the wrath of the world. In other words, the shlichus of Yankov Avinu was not a simple one. Vayishlach Yankov es Yitzchok. Yankov went Vayetze Yankov me Be'er Shova Vayelech Chorono. Be'er Shova was a spiritual place. Well, Avram lived, Yitzchok lived. Vayelech Chorono. Chorono is the wrath of the world. And it doesn't even say Lechoron, and the difference is whether it would say Lechoron or Choron, or Lechoron is just an indication from place A to place B. Choron means into the depth of Choron. Choron is Charei Nav Shalelum, the wrath of the world, the most difficult part in the world, and this is within Choron the most difficult part. Where Rivka lived, where her father was Adosha, where her brother Lovan was Adosha, where the people were Rishoim, and she was arose among them, but nevertheless the place was the most decadent place. The Rebbe says the same thing with Paris, and he compares Paris to Choron to Paris, that Paris was Mokem Tachten Beyeser, the lowest place in the world. And as we all know, morally, Paris was the lowest place in the world, and it was the place of Tekev HaKlipa, where the Klipa reigned, the strongest, was in Paris. Then the Rebbe continues the comparison. Who was sent? Well, do we know the story with Yitzchok and Yankov? Who did Yitzchok send? Yitzchok didn't send some other person as his shluchim to Choron. Yitzchok could have found some other people to go as shluchim in Choron. But who did he send? His son Yankov. Who did the previous Rebbe send? So the Rebbe says in the Parsha, in the Sikha of Vayeshev Nun Beis, shluchim mi bnei Beisei, that the shluchim that the Rebbe sent to Paris were mi bnei Beisei, parallel to Yankov Avinu and Yitzchok. Yitzchok sent Yankov his son. The previous Rebbe sent Chasnei Kibnei, his son-in-law, like his son and his daughter. So again, we see the parallel in the Shlichus. And the Rebbe said about the Shlichus in Paris, the Rebbe used the word, the expression, and it's printed in the Sikha, V'ovdu Avedosum, and they did their service, their Aveda, Belimud Nigla de Teira Upnimias Atera. And they did it by learning Nigla de Teira Upnimias Atera in Paris, V'davke Betech Yerushalayim V'Hidul, and specifically in Yerushalayim and in Hidul, that to perform all the mitzvahs, Behidul, with the enhancement of the mitzvah, as we know the story of the Rebbe. The time of the shlichus. Did he go for, like sometimes you send a shliach and he's there for a day? That's also shlichus. He comes for a day, he does what he has to do, and then he goes back for a week. The Rebbe's were there for almost 7 years. So the Rebbe talks about that if you want to do the zichuch, the refinement, in the right way, it should permeate the entire being of the area, then you have to do it. The Rebbe uses the words bikvius u'b'isyashvus, in permanence and in settlement. You can't do it fleetingly. You just come in for a day, you go back, you come in for another day. That is not the way you're going to achieve ultimate success in the shlichus. You want the shlichus, you go there. You settle there, you live there, and you're settled there in a form of permanence and in a form of settlement. That you're not thinking, oh, I'm only here for 1 day, for 2 days, and I already have to think when am I going back and when is my ticket and what am I going to do. You're here in your place because you can work the area where you were sent in a form of permanence and settlement. And then the Rebbe said, what was the reward of Yankov Avinu? The reward of Yankov Avinu, and it's in our Parsha again, it's in the Parsha of Vayetzi. The reward of Yankov Avinu, that by going to a shlichus, Yankov Avinu got the biggest bracha. Yankov Avinu got many brachas, V'yiten l'cho, and so on. The biggest bracha he got is Ufalatzta Yomo V'Kedmo V'Tzofeno V'Negbo. You should spread out north and south, east and west. Why is that the biggest bracha? Because the Rebbe brings the Gemara that it's a nachlo b'li mitzorim, which means it's a blessing, it's an inheritance without borders. When you say Ufalatzta Yomo, Yomo means south. How much south? No borders. As much south as you can. All the south, no borders, till the end of the world. Yomo v'kedmo to Mizrach. How much Mizrach? How much east? No borders, no limits, no end. Nachlo b'li mitzorim. That's what Yankov Avinu got. Rabbi said, when did Yankov Avinu get this nachlo? This bracha of b'li mitzorim of Ufalatzto? Not when Yitzchok send him. He got brachas there then too. It says, before that it says, Vayvorach Yitzchok es Yankiv. And before that it says, Vayiten l'cho. Nevertheless, this bracha, b'li mitzorim, this unlimited, this limitless bracha of Ufalatzto, when did Yankov Avinu get? When he actually went out to shlichus. The moment he went out to shlichus, at the beginning of Parshas Vayetzi, and then he rested for the evening, and then saw the dream, and Almighty God said, Ufalatzta yomo v'kedmo v'tzofeno v'negbo. And the Rebbe said that he got that bracha, the bracha of Palatzto. And the Rebbe said, Palatzto is Asius Tzorfas. So the Rebbe got that bracha. And when did the Rebbe get that bracha? When the Rebbe went to Tzorfas. He got the bracha of Palatzto, Asius Tzorfas. And then in this Sikha, the Rebbe says something which is absolutely mind-boggling. Now you're going to say, mind-boggling. Depends whose mind and how much boggling. Look what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe says in that Sikha that in order to do the birur, the refinement, the way it should be, skukim lekeach ha'etzem, you need the etzem. In other words, we couldn't conquer Paris of old by just sending another shliach. Another shliach would be the ispashtis, it would not be the etzem. The etzem, it says in Chassidus, is a Rebbe. So here we needed the Rebbe, we needed the keach of the etzem, of the essence, in Paris. And that's what happened in Cholon, and that's what happened in Paris. Moreover, the Rebbe said that once you are mevaler through the etzem, through that, the zichuch, the birur, the refinement, works for the entire world. So when the Rebbe went to Paris, it was a shlichus of the previous Rebbe, Vayishlach Yitzchok es Yankiv, and it was a shlichus to refine the entire world. How do you refine the entire world? By refining the most difficult part in the world. As the Rebbe Nishma Seiden says in his Maimorim, that if you want to lift something, you use a lever. Lever is something you lift a building from the bottom up, from the very bottom. If you're going to lift the building from the middle, you're going to lift it the upper floors. You're going to lift it from the second floor. What about the first floor? However, if you want to lift it, it's from the bottom up. And that's what happened there. So this is the Rebbe Shlichus, and the Rebbe conquered, and he facilitated the big French Revolution. The Rebbe says, Le Malyuse. A revolution is not always bad. Many times it's bad. You throw over the government. That's not always good. But there is a revolution, Le Malyuse. This was the revolution that was performed in France. That was Le Malyuse, to turn over the country of France. Baruch Hashem, today in Paris, I was told there are 30 Botei Chabad in one city. And Botei Chabad all over, as we know. And the one who facilitated that, or the ones who facilitated that, was the Rebbe, and the Rebbetzin went on shlichus of the previous Rebbe. And simultaneously, when the Rebbe talks about the grand shlichus, his own, and the shlichus of the shluchim, always mentions that every single Jew is a shlich. Now someone's going to say, what do you want from me? I'm not a shlich. We're in Golus, and let the shluchim take care of it. I'm not a shlich. I never even went out of town from after I got married. I'm still in the same town where I got married. Now you're going to come to me and you're going to complain we're in Golas and this. I'm going to tell you, so what do you want? There's so many shluchim, Baruch Hashem, let them work in getting us out of Golas. Says the Rebbe, this is not the right cheshbon, and this is not the cheshbon that we can make. Each person is a shliach, that he and she should do whatever they can to bring Mashiach. And the Rebbe said more than once, when Mashiach comes, and he's coming now, he will look at everyone and he will say, Was hast du getan, mir zu bringen den Ente? What did you do? And there will be a smart aleck Jew, maybe from Chachmi Lishanke, and as you know, we have those as well, who's going to say, Rebbe Mashiach, what's your question? What we did? You came, right? That means that we did something. And Mashiach will say, but you didn't answer my question. My question was not what was done to bring me faster. My question was, what did you do? What did you do to bring me faster? So therefore, it's the obligation of each and every single one of us. And the reason that Rebbe is telling us that we're in the last generation of Golus and the first generation of Geulah is that we should know that we can do something about it for our sake. So that when he comes now, we will know that we have helped, we have done something to bring Mashiach one moment closer. ובגולו דידנו ושמחו ובטוב לבוב ובטבע נילא והנגלו למטה מעשור הטפוחים ובחסד וברחמים ותקף ומיד ממש